Hello, Coloritaville. This is Renee here, and we are going to take a look at the Shuttle Art Professional 174 4mm softcore pencils. I had this set come in, and I had to send it away because there was duplicate greens. So this one arrived, and it's perfect. So that's wonderful. It came with 174 pencils, 4 pencil sharpeners with 2 extenders. So let's take a look at those. Oh, the sharpener is stuck. Oh no! I've got a sharpener stuck in there. There it is. So they're just cheap little plastic sharpeners and 2 pencil extenders, which are great. These little sharpeners are fantastic for when you're on the go. Just chuck one in your purse. I haven't used them. I don't have any luck with any small sharpeners, so I haven't used them. These little pencil extenders are really good. They have a large side as well as a small side as well as a large size. So let's see, that'll fit in there, but it won't fit in there. So this is one of my Holbein pencils, and it'll fit in the big side, but not in the small side. So let's see, what kind of pencil would fit in this small side? Okay, so this is an Ayan Shan metallic colored pencil, and it fits in the small side, but it slips out really easily. It shouldn't slip out like that, so that one's a little bit too thin for it. Let's see. Let's try the Art 101. And Art 101 sits in there and stays in pretty good. So it'll fit a smaller pencil, but not too small. This side here will fit this larger pencil, but it doesn't stay in, so which kind of sucks. Huh. Okay, well, it doesn't stay in very good. Let's see if the other one... See, this one's kind of bent a little bit up here. Let's see if this one is too. But when the holder goes around, it seems to hold it in. So let's try this one. Yeah, no. This side is for a really big pencil, and this side is for a really thin pencil. So let's see, because it won't hold those ones. Let's see if it will hold one of the Shuttle Arts, because that would be silly, you know, to have a pencil holder with a set that won't even hold the pencil. So let's see. It won't go in the small end, and it won't stay in the big end. Well, that's just horrible. Let's see. Let's pull this down. So you could probably force it into the small end and have it stay, but you'd have to force it in there like that. And I don't like that because it chips all the paint off and splits the pencil tip. See, that was my fault. There was no split there before. So I personally think that even though these are a great tool and would be useful for other pencils, not useful for these ones, which is kind of not a good thing. So those are bonuses that come with it. So pretty much you're buying the pencils, not the bonuses, right? Another thing it comes with is this 50 sheets of 100-pound GSM paper. It's just a sketchbook. They are perforated, so you can draw your own pictures and color them. Nice toothy paper. Has a really good tooth on it. You'd think it would be a little bit thicker for the 100 GSM, but it'll work. My son draws, and it will work for the things he draws. I don't draw, but my son does, and he will draw me pretty pictures. And of course, you know, we were working in this book. This is the coloring book that comes with it, and it's quite a large book compared to in the 80 set. The 80 set is like half the size of the book. So it has all sorts of pictures in it. You know, as you know, we were working on this one, but I had to send it back. So we'll probably work on that one today with this new set of pencils too. But of course, I've flipped through this one before. Great little book. Not something that it's something that will be great if you're buying this for a starter, or if you're new to colored pencils and you just want a book to color in. Great little book for that. Has some really nice pictures. I'm just going to go through that really quickly here for you, just for those who haven't seen my previous video where I did flip through this book. So it has some color test pages, and I do believe that there's enough here, and the paper is a nice heavy paper. It's not a thin paper. So I'm not sure if there's enough color swatches here to do the entire 174 pencils, but there are plenty. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 8. So there is actually enough there on those 2 test pages to do your swatches for the 174. So that's pretty cool. And then there's a cute little owl, a wonderful little hummingbird. These are not single-sided pictures, so definitely remember that if you decide that you want to use markers, make sure that the picture on the other side isn't one that you want to color. Wonderful little puppy. I colored this one out of the other set. The owls, hummingbirds, peacock, and cute little kittens hiding in the bush. Some really cute pictures. Dolphins and whales. You know, it covers a lot of things for a lot of different types of colorists. You know, the people that like aquatics, people that like unicorns, people that like zendoodled pictures. There's a lot of zendoodled pictures in here. There's a really cute little bunny rabbit, and mama bird and her babies. Some more pretty birds. Nice little wolf. I myself don't do a lot of zendoodle stuff. Oh, a nice aquatic one with a treasure chest and a seahorse, and another seahorse. And basically all these are open stock photos or open stock pictures that you can purchase for really inexpensive and put them in a book and call it your own, because they've sold the rights to the copyrights to their stuff. So whoever has drawn all of this beautiful artwork, well done. And to Shuttle Arts for, you know, collecting it and picking and choosing the pictures that you've chosen for this book, well done. Because so far it's a really cute book. I really like this picture. I already said that once before, but I will again because I really like it. And then we've got lots and lots of mandalas. I got some good mandalas here. I'm not horribly into the mandalas, but some of them are really nice to sit down with and color. And then we've got some trees and some more trees. This is another really nice one. I really like this one. Sorry about the shadow. I've got the sunlight coming through the window there, and my desk sort of blocks half the window, so we're only getting half the light there. And some really nice moths and flowers. Of course, nice words. And then big flowers with dragonflies. And this one's really nice too. I like this one. It's got some really cute little animals hidden in it. Really like that page too. And then swirls. Of course, every book should have swirls and flowers. So that is the little book that comes with your 174 4mm softcore pencils. Now, I have already done the swatch part of this for you, and I'll show you that in a bit here. And of course, I will run through the swatch video on hyperspeed so that you can see them being swatched. And they don't come with this wonderful tip. And they don't come in this order. I had to reorder put them all in the proper order. And as you'll see on the swatch, there are a few that I need to move around. Now I did leave, and of course there's six wonderful trays of colors. And I was so excited with the last set because it had an entire tray of greens. And this tray, if you take all of these greens, probably from this one here, no, from this one on, all the way through those is an entire tray of greens. So there's like a tray and two of greens. The reason why I'm taking these all out, not only to show y'all, but I didn't sharpen one, just to show you the way that the pencil arrives. So you will have to sharpen these right away. You cannot use them without sharpening. Well, you can, but they have a very flat end to them. They're not sharpened at all. It looks basically like they'd sharpen them and then cut the ends of the sharp tip off. So I would definitely suggest going through and sharpening them. I'm going to switch you over to the other camera and see if I can give you a better view of that. There we go. So definitely need to sharpen those. Alrighty, I'm going to switch it back over. There we go. I do not know why that is dinging like that. It should not. Oh well, we'll figure it out. So, but that is the way that they come. They come with a very blunt tip. Now, I did sharpen all the rest of them, and they all held and were able to sharpen to a very, very, very sharp point, and held their point throughout the swatch, even through the heavy-handed part of the swatch, which is really good. I did have a couple that, because they are so soft, they are extremely soft pencils. So I did have a couple that, of course, left residue after doing the heavy swatch because they're pretty close to a Prisma in softness, but have the strength of an Arteza, if that makes sense. Beautiful pencils. I really do wish that their lower grade ones were half as good as this. There isn't any jumping. They just roll in their spaces. There's no cracks, no breakage. I have a little bit of sharpening that I missed there, but the pencils themselves, absolutely beautiful. The only problem I have is with one of them, and that was my own fault because I was trying to stick it in something that it doesn't fit into. But even the ones that have a little bit of lack of centering, they're not horribly out of center, but like, for example, this one here has a bit of off-centering. Doesn't affect it because even after sharpening it, you still get a good amount of core. It's not like the wood is going all the way up to the tip of the core. It's not that off-centered. And like I said, the only thing I really don't like about these types of pencils that are close-ended like this, so have the paint all the way to the end of the pencil, is because you can't look at it and say, okay, is that core centered or not? Beyond looking at the front of it where you can go, okay, well, that is a centered core. It is completely even all the way around. So with that being said, there's a couple that are not 100% centered, but there is that way in every pencil set you get. They're not horribly off center, but they're not completely dead center. They are soft. They are durable enough to hold a really sharp point. They are not so soft so that you can't sharpen it to a sharp point. So just an absolutely lovely pencil. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you the swatches, and I'm going to put you through the swatching video. And like I said, it took me almost 5 hours to swatch these. You get to watch it in less than 5 minutes. So I'm going to let you do that. Grab your cup of coffee and sit back and relax. It's a quick little 5-minute swatch. And then I will be back and we will take a closer look at the swatches and take a closer look at the pencils and use the pencils. All right, so I'll be back. Grab your coffee and relax. Okay, welcome back. So, as you saw, that didn't take very long for you guys, but it did take quite some time for me. Um, the colors on these swatches are really lovely. They went down quite smoothly. And as you probably saw, I had to use my duster brush because they are very soft. So when they lay down, of course, when I did the heavier part of the swatching, they, of course, came apart a little bit. Not a whole lot, but enough that it left little residue on the paper. Now I'm going to switch you over. There we go. And I'm going to move you over a little bit here. Let's see if we can move this over so you can see what I'm going on about. And okay, so these pencils, of course, now a cloud comes, so it darkened it a bit. Let's see if I can turn this on and make it a little bit better for you. Nope, didn't help at all. Okay, so it starts off with the light yellows, goes into your skin tones, into the oranges, into the light browns, into the darker browns, into the reds. Now, of course, there are a couple of pencils like these two here. I thought, well, maybe I should put those in the yellows, and then I noticed that it was a progression into the browns. This one here needs to go up a couple. So there's some moving around. I did it specifically on the color of the barrel because that's the only thing I really have to go by, the color of the end and the color of the barrel. So there are some that I've got little asterisks next to, and those basically I'm just going to have to write down where I put those in my colored pencil bag so that when I look at the swatch, I'm not looking for deep pink to find orange red being the next in line. But we've got quite a few pages of swatches here. They did, like I said, this is a little while after swatching and the color hasn't broken. I did do extremely light areas here and then the heavy areas there. So these are a layering pencil. As you can see, the first one layer isn't enough to cover all that white spot. So you're going to need a couple of different layers to do that. And then we've got into the pinks. This one here should be with your skin tones. As you can see, I've still got some pencil residue there. So we're going into the pinks, into the purples, into, the plum, deep magenta, and magenta should be somewhere else. They should be up here a little bit higher. And then, of course, into the blues, and into the aquatic blues, into the greens. And these two here should be over here with the aquatic green, blue colors. And then, like this one here, should be in this area here down at the aqua green area. And then into the grays and into the metallics. Now the metallics have a little bit of shine to them. I don't know if you can see it. And they've just got little flecks of metal in them. So you can actually see the sun glisten off of some of those metallic bits on the heavier side. There's not so much when you go really light. There is in the orange. The orange is really, really nice. And so is the red for having that metallic shine all the way through it. And ochre too isn't too bad. So if you do a couple of layers, 3 or 4 layers, depending upon how dark you want it to be, you should get a really nice glisten off of those. Now I got all the way through and I thought I had arranged everything. And there's these colors here, which I thought were a part of this area, the metallics, because I thought, well, why would they put five different colors at the end instead of mixing them in with the other ones? Well, that's what they did. So I've got to rearrange these ones and put them where they belong. Like there's a burnt brick red and the reddish brown. Of course, those should go with the reds. There's the ochre, which of course, and the apricot yellow, which of course should go into the browns, and then the azure, which should go into the sea foam and aquatic colors. But there is a huge, huge selection of different colors here. There are tons of blues, tons of purples, lots of pinks. The one place that I found it a little bit lacking was in the reds, only because there are so many of the other colors that to have just a small amount of reds seems a little bit off to me. But there is still plenty of them to do anything that you would want to do with the reds. Lots of yellows, not as many yellows, lighter yellows and pure yellows that I would like, because I use a lot of yellow. But they do have two really light creamy yellows, a really pale yellow, like almost a white cream color, as well as the canary yellow. So there are some really good yellow colors, and there are quite a few of them. Of course, not as many as, say, green. Like, look at all those greens. That is almost an entire page just of green. That is a lot of green. You know, and of course there's yellow green, there's cadmium yellow. You know, this one here I think would be better off over in the yellows. And I think this is more of a lime green than a yellow green myself, but you know, this one here, it looks more of a lime green. You know, they've got a good selection of grays. Of course, they don't name them as, you know, cool gray, warm gray. You know, they've got brownish gray and light gray and mist gray and smoky gray and all that sort of stuff, but they don't actually list them as cool gray or neutral gray or warm gray. So that's something to get used to as well. And of course, yes, I did spell this the Canadian way, because that's what my brain tells me gray is spelled as. So if anybody sees that this is spelt wrong, as far as it being on the pencils as G-R-E-Y, my brain just keeps telling me to write G-R-A-Y, because that's the way I was taught it was spelled. But other than that, plenty of pencils. Most definitely a full set of these will cover you for anything you want to do. Now we're going to take a look and see how they lay down. As soon as I can get my mess picked up here, I've got pencils everywhere. Okay, so we've got our little owls. This comes out of the Shuttle Art book. So we're going to take our pencils and we're going to take a look here at what colors we want to do these little owls in. So, of course, you know, I put the swatch book away and I should know by memory of what pencils are where, but yeah, I don't, because yeah, anybody would. So we're going to use some nice brown colors. There we go. So we're going to use, I think, cinnamon and chocolate and a little bit of coffee, I think. So chocolate, coffee. There's chocolate And we need cinnamon. Where's my cinnamon? Cinnamon. And another thing I've noticed about some different budget-friendly pencils, they call this tan. To me, tan is this color. You know, this light or this color. This color here is more of a tan color to me. So that's another notice that I throw out there is some of these colors say they're tan, and to me, I just don't find them to be tan colors. I am so glad I have carpet under me. That would have been bad. I dropped a pencil. All right, so I changed my mind, which of course, being female is my prerogative. And I'm going to use ginger yellow, cinnamon, and chocolate. Now, of course, the ginger yellow is the lightest color, and we're going to color this happy little guy here. And we're just going to color his wings this light color, and then we're going to go over and fill in his feathers, give him some shadows, and that sort of thing. I'm actually going to bring you a little bit closer. Let's focus that in for you. And there you go. So now you can see it a little bit better. Alrighty. There you go. That's better. So I know there's a shadow from my hand because the sun is coming in the window, and it, of course, is on the other side of my desk here, which is going to give you a shadow from my hand. Now I'm just using very light pressure and just going over it. Like I said, these are very close to Prisma. These are a layering pencil. You can heavy hand it, but what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a bunch of bits all over your paper, as well as a product that kind of looks overly waxy. You know, so it will look a lot like you had been coloring with crayons, not pencil crayons, not with colored pencils. And of course, my Canadian just came out, and in Canada, we call them pencil crayons. So just go over it a couple of times, give it a couple of layers, make sure the white tooth of the paper is fairly covered, because we're going to check the blendability of these as well. So that's close to the color I want it to be. Just one more quick little, and as you can see, the heavier I go, the more little dust bunnies I end up with. So try really hard not to press too hard on your pencil. Otherwise, you're going to get dust bunnies. So I'm just going to dust that off, just because if I don't, my hand's going to drag across it and it's going to be a problem. Then I'm going to take the cinnamon, and I'm just going to go over these little areas here. I'm actually going to sharpen this one a bit because it's not as, this is a very small area. So I want a very, very, very tight point, and that point is a little bit dull, probably from doing the swatching. All right, so here you go. That's better. That's much better. I'm just going to go around the feathers and give it a little bit of information on like a little bit of definition. Now I do have a train about to go by, so things might start shaking a little bit and maybe a little bit noisy. So I do apologize. I have no control over the train. Now you could do the darker areas first if you don't want them to be as dark as I want them to be. Sometimes when you do the dark areas first, of course, the light pencil may brighten that up, or it just may cover it up. It all depends upon what color your lighter pencil is going to be, because it will mute the color that you've put down. Like, for example, if I'm using a really dark purple and I use a lighter purple over top of it, it will bring that dark purple down to a medium purple. Okay, so I've gone around them, given them that definition. Now, of course, I'm going to dust it off again. And I'm going to take this one, which is chocolate, and I'm going to just give it some shadowing. You know, his little ruffle here is going to shadow these ones. The back side of his wing is going to be shadowed. And the little crevices between the feathers are going to have a shadow as well. And I could have gone with a darker brown for this, but I figured the chocolate was a good contrast to that light brown and the medium brown. Now, there is always a rule of threes. You know, sometimes you can get away with just using 2 different colors, but the rule of 3 is a light, a medium, and a dark of the same color family to give you that effect of depth. Okay, so we're going to take this light one again, and we're just going to finish this one over here. And sometimes you can get away with it with 1 or 2 pencils, just depending upon how heavy-handed you are. You know, the rule of 3 also does follow. You can follow that rule of 3 just with 1 pencil with pressure. So 3 different pressures: a light pressure, a heavy pressure, and a medium, or a medium pressure, will give you that same effect with 1 color, but not to a depth of using 3 different colors. With 1 color, you can get away with it, and you can definitely make that that work. But if you just use 3 different pencils, then you may be able to do half the work. Like I said, these pencils are extremely soft, so make sure that you're not putting a lot of pressure on them. And make sure that you keep them in a warm area. My electricity went out today, so I think it got a little bit cold in here. It went out like in the middle of the night. Well, not the middle of the night, in early morning. And it was out for 7 hours. It finally came on at just after 10 o'clock this morning. So I think it got a little cold. And it still hasn't warmed up horribly a whole lot in here either. So I've had these drapes open all day hoping that it would warm up, but it doesn't seem to be choosing to. but of course the sun doesn't get to the side of the house with all the windows until mid-afternoon, and it's almost evening here, so of course this will be available for viewing at around 5 o'clock. So I hope everyone has had a great day today. Okay, and that's our happy little owl's wings are all done. Now we're going to take our blending pencil, and I'm going to use the Prisma pencil, and we're going to see how well these blend. I'm just going to try to get some of the white spot out because I may not have put down enough layers, and it blends beautifully. And get all that white spot out. So I've put down plenty of layers to knock all that white spot out just with the blending pencil. Now, of course, you can do this with your lighter pencil, or you can do this with white, or you can do it with a blending pencil or a blending pen or a stump or whatever you decide that you want to blend with. I use the blending pencil because it's the easiest to keep on hand and the easiest to figure out how to use. Sometimes I'll use a white pencil if I don't have my blender pencil handy, which most of the time I do. Usually when I'm out on the road or something, I won't have it handy. So now we're going to use, what color? I think a nice orange, a light orange, a medium orange, and a dark orange. And we're going to do his little ruffle around his neck here in the oranges. So we've got pumpkin yellow, and we've got orange, and then we've got bright orange. Now the pumpkin yellow is just a light orange. It's a very pumpkin-y color. And like I said before, just nice light strokes. Try not to go heavy, otherwise you will end up with a bit of a waxy effect. And you can blend that out with your blender pencil, but it just adds an extra step to the work. And you may find that if you have too much wax down, if you have too much pencil crayon down, you're just going to end up scratching that off or scraping that off with your blender pencil, and that will just frustrate you. You'll find that your blender pencil is always covered in your color, and no matter how much you put down, if you're too heavy-handed, all you're going to end up with is the stain of the color on the paper, which is a lot lighter than the just relaxing a little bit and putting down multiple layers and filling in that white spot. Now, that's the only thing I find sometimes with the Prisma pencil blender is that it does lift up quite a bit of the color sometimes, depending upon the type of pencil. And I do believe these are a soft core waxed base. They are a 4mm core, so they are a nice thick core. So when you sharpen them, I didn't find any shortening of the pencils whatsoever when I sharpened these, which is impressive to me. And now you guys are going to end up with, I'm going to have to put something there. Let's see. No, that doesn't help. Nope, doesn't help. So you're going to have a sunbeam on there. So I'm going to just move you over here a little bit and focus that a little bit better. Does not seem to be focusing for... Oh, no, that's really bad in it. There we go. There we go. Okay. All right, so I've got the light down, and we're just going to go down these areas here with the medium, which is orange, and just give it a little bit of a medium color. And of course, we're going to go over the extremely shadowed areas with the darker color. We're just covering these ones that are sticking out here a little bit because they're not shadowed. They're a little bit shadowed, but not as heavily shadowed as under the chin or down underneath the ruffle on the edges where the back side of the bird is. Basically, all I'm doing here is just giving that light color the ability to pop off the page a little bit. As you can probably see there. Now we're going to take this darker color and we're just going to go around the areas in the bottom and try not to press too hard. I have a tendency, especially with trying to do shadow areas, of pressing too hard. And I have learned over the years that, over the past couple of years, that some pencils really don't like that. And this is definitely one of those pencils that does not like that. It is very much like a Prisma in that way, is the color is vibrant. It's very, very bright, but you have to layer it. A single layer isn't going to give you that bright, vibrant color. And if you're too heavy-handed with it, it's just not going to look right. It's going to look a little waxy and it'll be frustrating. So you just got to do gentle, soft layers and build that color up. And that's what I found with the Prismas as well, is that you couldn't just manhandle the color. You had to let it just relax into it. Oh, that's terrible. The sun is just so bright there. Okay, so we've got that down. Now I'm just going to take the light color and I'm just going to go over that a little bit and fill in that white spot just to show you that you can do it with the pencils themselves. You don't have to use a blender pencil. The blender pencil just doesn't add any more color. So if you are happy with the depth of color that you have and you really don't want that any darker, then use your blender pencil. If you find that the color seems to be a little bit lesser than you want it to be, a little bit lighter, then use your lightest color in your spectrum and bring that white spot down a bit. Now, if you do it this way, you may find that you can't get all of the white spot without, getting too dark. So definitely use your blender pencil just to knock that white spot down just enough so that it doesn't show too white. Just like that. And one day I will do a full video on all of the things that I use for blending, because I have tried quite a few different techniques and different ways of doing it. And a lot of them work beautifully. I don't use them all the time because I find them to be cumbersome. Some of them work really, really well, and if you get into a routine of using them, um, would work beautifully without having to use a blender pencil, without having to use um, anything else except for your blending material. But I find that the blender pencil is the easiest thing to reach, and it will definitely be one of the first things I reach for is the blender pencil. Now we're going to cover this area here. Oh, this area here. Is that better? Out of the sunlight. With a nice yellow family. So we're going to use canary yellow, autumn gold, and bright yellow orange. So these are the three darkest yellows in my yellow spectrum on these pencils. And I have gone over the lines. The sun got me. That's what I'm blaming it on. Not the fact that those lines are so tiny. So I'm just going to cover this whole area with that canary yellow. Now, the reason why I'm choosing the types of pencils that I'm choosing is because different densities of pigment, like for example, the darker colored pencils have more pigment. And the more pigment you get in your pencil, sometimes it has a possibility of not laying down as smoothly as a lighter pigmented pencil. The reason for this is, of course, is the darker the pigmentation, the more pigment has to be in the pencil, and the possibilities of that pigment not always breaking down, that color pigment not always breaking down, because they use a powder and they mix it in with the wax, and when you mix it in with the wax, you end up with, if it doesn't mix properly or it doesn't break down completely, you end up with a bit of a harder pencil that could end up just being waxy, if that makes sense. So I'm just going over these lines here with the lighter medium color of this yellow. And I'm pressing a little bit too hard, as you can tell, because there's a bit of a waxy buildup there. So I'm just going to dust that off. And that's really all you have to do with that sort of thing. If you do use a heavier hand before you blend, don't do it don't do it and then blend and then be upset because you've taken that darker color and you've blended it completely all over your page because there was too much of it there. Dust first, then blend, and then dust again, so that you have that ability to monitor how much of that darker color is going into your lighter color. Because if you blend it with all this darker color, dust basically is what I call it, all over the area that you've colored, of course it's going to drag all of that darker color all over what you're trying to blend. And then it will not blend in, or it will blend in. It will blend into everything and change the color of the light stuff into something that you don't want it to be, which is frustrating. Okay, so I'm going to actually I'm actually going to do all of the bird this way with the light yellow, with the canary yellow. And I'll do up in here as well. And around his eyes and up in his halo here, we'll do with the other two colors that we have picked out, the other two color families. So I'm just doing a very loose, light layer for this area because I don't want to do a very heavy layer on that. I want to actually do more of a heavier layer on the darker color and the medium color. And this is probably boring the heck out of all of you. So I've just gone around those tail feathers with that medium color, and I'm going to take the darker yellow, the bright orange yellow, and I'm just going to do the same thing I did above, and I'm just going to do the edges. Of course, it would help if I stayed in the lines, but that is what erasers are for, right? And basically it shows you that it can be erased. Some pencils, you erase it and it doesn't erase. So with this color, I'm just doing the shadow areas, the deeper areas. So that that light yellow shines through there. And I'm just going to go down these lines here a little bit more, just a little bit deeper. And there we go. I'm going to take the light yellow and I'm going to blend that. Now I just did a boo-boo and I ended up blending that darker color in because I did not dust it off. But it's not too bad. I just saw a streak of it because I didn't dust it off. All right, now we're just going to go up in here. And then we're not even going to use the medium one. We're just going to go straight to the darker one. And we're just going to go into those shadows because this area here is going to have a shadow, a deep shadow. So is this area. And then we're going to cover his beak. Then we'll take that red-orange color, like this color, and we're going to go over that a little bit as well. All right, now we're going to take the lightest orange. What we're going to do is eyes. This, of course, is pumpkin yellow, which, of course, is not yellow at all. I had to check, make sure I was using the right color. And I'm just going very lightly. All right, and of course it's Monday, so hopefully this is relaxing enough to y'all that after a long day of work, that me boring the heck out of you is welcome at this point. Who all has the case of the Mondays? I know I did this morning. I really didn't want to deal with the day. But that may have had something to do with, the fact that my power decided to go off in the middle of the night, well, early in the morning, and my dog decided to freak out because she doesn't like the beeping that the battery backups do. Of course, everything still worked in my house for about 20 minutes, so it gave me time to shut everything off. But my dog really, really, really hates the sound of the battery backup. Really hates it. She doesn't like things that beep, bang, or boom. But who does, right? So I'm going to take this deeper orange and I'm just going to give him a touch in his beak there. And I'm going to go back over it with this lighter orange, make sure it's the pumpkin, just to cover in that white spot. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this yellowy orange here and just brighten that light orange up a little bit more. Give it a little bit more yellow because I think it's getting too close to the other colors in color. There, that's better. That's better. I don't want it to all blend together completely. I want it to stand out a little bit. So it looks like there's a shadow there, not just orange. Because that's what orange can do. Just take over. And just going around his eyes. Now I'm using the medium orange here. I'm just going around everything. To give it that lighter shadow, and then I'm going to take that deep red orange and go into the darker shadow areas, where things are giving a heavier shadow, like the beak and the top of his head and the side of his face there. Now I'm just going to bring that shadow into his eye area a bit. Then I'm going to take this yellowy orange and I'm just going to go over this with that yellowy orange. Just enough to give it that contrast to color. I need to go over it with the pumpkin yellow. Just to blend it in. And of course I could have done that with the Prisma blender, but I was finding that that side had a little bit more yellow than I wanted. After getting it all done, of course, just add a little bit more, give it a dust and take a look, and if it's the way you want it, then leave it. If not, then change it. And right now it's the way I want it, so it's good. Now this top part and around his eyes we're going to do in the browns that we did his wings with. So we're just going to take this, I think I'm going to give this a bit of a sharpen because the end is a little bit short. Just because this is really, really tiny area, I want a very, 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 very sharp end. So that's a little bit sharper. And then, of course, wipe it down. And as you can see, these are a very, very little, teeny little area. So I'm just going to add the one color to these. Just to make them stand out a bit against that yellow. Maybe I'll use two, depending upon how much I notice it blends in when I sit back a little bit. I get fixated on small areas because I can't see them very well if I don't. And these needed a shadow in there. Down here at the nose. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just following the line on the outside. So it's basically, giving the bottoms a little bit more color. There we go. Then I get fixated on white spot really easily, which is silly because all it does is make me put too much color down, and then I get angry with the picture and the results, and then I absolutely hate it. And it has nothing to do with the pencils or anything else. It's just the way I fixate on things. And I'm learning to let go. I'm learning to say, okay, well, there's a little bit of white spot there. It's not a big deal. We can blend that in. Instead of just putting more and more and more layers on and changing the color of things and then getting upset because I've put too much color on and changed that color too much. And that's not the color I wanted. And of course, you all know I'm not the only one that does it. Please tell me I'm not the only one that does that. I can't be the only one that does that. I just can't be. It's okay. And then we're going to use this, maybe not tan. Nice light ochre for his feet. And then we'll take the dark coffee color, I think. Just give it some detail. Okay. And then we'll take our blender pencil wherever I put that. Oh dear. I've put it somewhere and now I can't see it. Where did I put it? Uh-oh. Raggy. I've moved my blender pencil and now I don't know where I stuck it. Isn't that terrible? There it is. I stuck it in the bucket. I stuck it in the bucket. So we're just going to give this a bit of a blend. Make sure we cover all that white spot up. Okay. And of course, wipe your pencil because you're going to end up with orange everywhere if you don't. Now I wanted to drag a little bit of that brown down into his face here a little bit, just to give it a bit of a contrast area. All right. Okay, so we've got that all done. And that is our little fella done in Shuttle Art Pro Color 174 colored pencils, the 4mm soft core centers, and these are the colors we've used on this little guy right here. Of course, I'm going to drag my hand across it and make a mess. But that's our autumn colored owl. That's what I think that's why I chose those colors too, is because it's almost Halloween. It's it's autumn, and those are happy colors to me. With that, I would like to thank you all very much for watching. I know it's been a very long video. Hopefully it gives you some time to relax and rest after this long Monday. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and that like button as often as possible. It does give us a bit of a boost in the ratings. And if you want to join us over on our Facebook page, that's the Cozy Coloring Corner at Coloritaville. We would be happy to have you over there. We do all sorts of things over there. We color, of course. We do different contests and different prizes and all sorts of fun stuff. Sometimes it's a nice physical prize. Sometimes it's a special tribute to your coloring. Again, I want to say thank you so much for joining me and being a wonderful part of our coloring family. Always continue to color, relax, and stay safe. And bye-bye for now.